There's loads of advice on the internet of how to save money, like bringing your lunch to work, cutting out cable, or making a budget to know what you're spending. My goal here is to break down exactly how my husband Tim and I saved $60,000 in 2 years on both of our salaries of $70,000 a year each in order to quit our jobs and travel full-time. Maybe you want to quit your job and travel full-time. Maybe you're saving up for a down payment on a house. No matter what you're using the money for, I'm going to share all of the money saving tips, for lack of a better word, and also offer you a free download of our Savings Projector, which was the true motivating factor so that we could see and track our savings. So how we did this is really broken down into 3 stages. The first is just sacrifice. We'll dive into what sacrifice is. The second and biggest one that I'll talk about a little bit more is avoiding lifestyle creep. As our incomes grew, our spending habits did not. And the third one is the free download that's available on our website. There's a link in the description box if you head to the blog post and then you click on the link in the blog post. If you're willing to part with your email address, then we will go ahead and send you our Savings Projector spreadsheet. Now I know that talking about Savings Projector spreadsheets doesn't sound like the most fun thing to do in the world, but does a year swimming with whale sharks, living on the beach, eating amazing Thai food sound okay to you? If you're willing to put in the work, this is the outcome that we were able to achieve 4 years ago and now haven't looked back. But sitting around in a Chicago apartment as two 20-somethings with not big timer jobs or anything, the dream seemed impossible. So what worked for me at the time, or a way to translate my bank account into something that I could interpret, is I put together this Savings Projector, and now I'm making that available for you. So this is just the same spreadsheet that I used at the time, and I wanted to know what was worth my effort, right? Saved money here and there, okay, sounds great, but what was the actual numeric value of doing that for a long period of time? Using the Savings Projector, what it is essentially is just a budget. You could do this already on the budget that you keep. If you don't keep a budget already, feel free to use this spreadsheet. So you are just tracking your different sources of income, which might just be your salary or you and your partner's salary, and then all of your expenses. After accounting for taxes, contributing to a 401k, and all of these other financial responsibilities that we have, including saving for a rainy day and saving for retirement. So we're not ignoring those, but contributing specifically to an arbitrary location. Maybe it's a concrete location. Maybe you have a specific savings account for this travel dream of yours. You can look and see how much savings you can accrue in a specific period of time. So I'm sitting there in 2013, I'm plugging in the numbers and saying, oh, I'm only spending this much of what I'm earning. And at that time, I may be making $45,000 a year and living by myself in an $1,100 a month apartment in downtown Chicago. Not a great use of my money. Meeting Tim, dating Tim, realizing we're gonna spend our lives together. As time goes on and I'm changing jobs, I'm earning a higher income. I'm making $52K, I'm making $57K, I'm making $62K, I'm making $70. I meet my future husband, we start living together. My husband, Tim as well, is moving up in his job where he's making $50K, he's making $60K, he's making $70K. Now, the two of us, because we had this specific goal of wanting to quit our jobs and travel, we had something to work towards. We did not change our apartment and our living situation. We did not change the car that we drove and shared. And we did make a lot of social sacrifices in order to save money for travel. So that brings us back to the beginning of the video when we were talking about step number 2 to avoid lifestyle creep. I kept getting better jobs. My living costs reduced because I was now sharing living with my husband. that reduced my food bill and my accommodation bill. Was that comfortable? Not completely. That apartment was about 780 square feet. It was one bedroom. It was not a studio, but it almost was. And I was working 100% from home for a software company. So I was in that small space all day. Tim had owned outright a 1996 white Camry that is still his baby to his day. We had very, very low car insurance on that, maybe like $30 or something. We had 0 car payments on that. And I decided to sell my Jeep, and we only just used and shared that one car. Why lifestyle creep is the most challenging part of achieving your savings goals is because once you start to have the money and you start to see the money in your account is actually the hardest part to not start spending it. Knowing that after our wedding, we wanted to quit our jobs and leave and travel for as long as we could financially afford. It was hard not taking quick, small vacations. It was hard saying no to dinner, but yes to drinks with friends, because we knew we were gonna go spend $60 at dinner, but we could get away with spending $25 at drinks after dinner. We didn't feel great knowing that we had decent Chicago management jobs making 70 grand a year, but then drove the 1996 Camry to our friends' weddings and baby showers, and we just knew that our lifestyle wasn't representative of how much money we were making, and because of that we felt a little embarrassed. So that was definitely the hardest part of this entire journey of saving money in order to change our lifestyle, because we continued to live like we were these recent college grads who didn't have money and had low-paying jobs in an expensive city. The other things that got us there, which is less earth-shattering at the time, is, we didn't pay for cable, we had a shared Netflix account and things like that, but I didn't want to really bog down this video into all of those money-saving tips because you can really find those anywhere, and I feel like people know them, they just need a kick in the butt to do them. So hopefully then, back to the savings projector, what it can do is, because you've now budgeted everything, you can see how much your savings account is going to grow. It became this hobby of ours, first projecting what we thought the month budget would be at, right? And then at the end of the month, you go back in and you put in the actual. So then if you do better than you accounted for, you can now see that you will have more money at your goal travel date. And hey, you can plug in, if we spend like that every month now for the next 2 years, wow, an extra $200 a month is $4,800 over the span of 2 years. And $4,800 when it comes to international travel, that's more than we were spending in a month in many countries around the world. So that was so inspiring, knowing how inexpensive travel was and how easy saving small amounts accumulated over time. Oh, $50 for a sweater? Okay, well, $50 for a sweater every month for the next 2 years. If I can just say no to one sweater once a month for the next 2 years, what would that be? That's $1,200. That's, the round trip flight to Asia. Now, this video is the third part in a series of planning your around the world trip. In the first one, we talked about picking out your bucket list destinations. In the second one, we talked about applying a cost per day to those locations so that you could estimate the entire trip cost. And now with the savings projector, that's such inspiration to help get you there, because you can see, oh wow, the entire 3 weeks in the Philippines is only going to cost us $1,200. That's what we just talked about, the sweater decision. Oh my gosh, I want to do the Croatian road trip. Have you checked on Airbnb? Wow, those Airbnbs are only $30 a night for ocean view. If I can save another $5 a month for the next 2 years, that means in Croatia, we can be another 200 meters closer to the beach. It was thoughts like that that were what were so motivating to help make those small decisions count. And while it was so tedious at the time, we had one chair in the Chicago apartment, and I would use it at my desk all day, and then I would move it to the dining table that was sandwiched with the side of the sofa so we could both sit at a dining table together. Now that was an incredibly stressful 2 years, but because of that, we did quit our jobs in August of 2015. We had a one-way ticket to Europe. We traveled to, I don't know, 20 or 30 countries within 10 months. And because of that, have now made so many other similar decisions that have changed our lives, that now we full-time run our Amazon FBA business from the road. And I'm coming to you today from Colorado in the winter, where we're just enjoying skiing all season and before we leave for Europe this summer.